The first 7 years of our life, our subconscious is fully downloaded. We operate 95% out of our subconscious, 5% conscious. That's crazy.
Nutritionist Elissa Goodman.
She's helped thousands of clients resolve their health issues.
Dehydration is really an epidemic right now. When you're dehydrated, nothing works right. It's not about detox and deprivation. It's about just feeding the body and nourishing it. Your body tells you everything.
Hey everyone, I've got some huge news to share with you. In the last 90 days, 79.4% of our audience came from viewers and listeners that are not subscribed to this channel. There's research that shows that if you want to create a habit, make it easy to access. By hitting the subscribe button, you're creating a habit of learning how to be happier, healthier, and more healed. This would also mean the absolute world to me and help us make better, bigger, brighter content for you and the world. Subscribe right now.
The #1 health and wellness podcast.
Jay Shetty.
Jay Shetty.
The one, the only Jay Shetty.
Hey everyone, welcome back to On Purpose, the place you come to become happier, healthier, and more healed. Now, I love turning my offline relationships, people I'm a fan of, bringing them onto the show and having the conversations where I'm speaking to a trusted expert. Today's guest is someone that I've followed on social media for a few years now, and anytime I have a question about a new supplement, a vitamin, a product, this is the person that I go to pick her brain, to find out what she has to say about it. And considering I trust her so much offline, I thought I'd love to introduce you all to her online. I'm speaking about Elissa Goodman, who's an integrative holistic nutritionist. Elissa had issues with her health for her entire life, from cancer to autoimmune issues and Hashimoto's in her 30s, which inspired her to take control of her own health and the lives of people around the world. Elissa has created her own delivered EG Kitchen Cleanse in LA. Elissa's EG Kitchen Cleanse allows people to have nourishing, vibrant, healing food delivered right to their doorstep. Elissa has been seeing clients for a decade now and is part of the healing journey for thousands of people around the world. If you don't already follow her on social media, you definitely will after this. If you're someone who wants to work on your health, if you're someone who wants to get more connected with your body, and if you're someone who wants to know how to cleanse and detox, this episode is for you. Welcome to the show, Elissa Goodman.
Thank you. What an introduction. That was so beautiful.
Oh, well, I have so much more I could say, but I stuck to the professional introduction. But we obviously have a wonderful personal connection too.
I know. And I love what I do. So it comes easy, as you can imagine. You know, I absolutely am obsessed with helping people get better.
I can see that. I mean, anyone who follows you on social media will see it immediately. Like, it's so radiant, so vibrant, so true to who you are. And I think our audience is really going to find this fascinating because I don't think we've ever had a cleanse expert on the show before. And I wanted to start there. What is a cleanse expert?
I know, that's a great question because cleansing gets a bad connotation. I mean, detox, cleanse is all about deprivation, starvation. And I would say that, you know, after I went to school, integrative holistic school, I became a cleanse person for Cafe Gratitude, M Cafe, Erewhon, and I didn't know what it was. But I actually created these cleanses for these restaurants and handheld the cleansers throughout the 5 days or 3 days, however long they were doing it, and found out their ailments, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. One was vegan and one was, you know, macrobiotic from M Cafe. And it was a beautiful thing because I saw in 5 days, people can restore their body, reset their body, get better brain retention, better digestion, just weight loss in 5 days, like crazy. So feel better, energy, mood, all of it. So it was really fascinating. I'm like, there's something to this cleansing. And so I decided that those were a little bit more deprivation, starvation. So I created a cleanse 9 years ago that wasn't about that. There's a lot of food on it. It's very anti-inflammatory and it's giving you a lot of 50 different vegetables in over 5 days. So it's super nurturing, nourishing. And that's what I'm trying to do for people is really introduce them to vegetables and plants and foods that are grown from the earth and taking away the inflammation. So that's what my cleanse is all about.
Why do people need to go on a cleanse?
It's because most people eat unhealthy. You know, they eat way too much processed food. They eat bad seed oils that are out there. We're eating out a lot. You know, we're stressed, so we're not even thinking about what we're eating. We're eating on the run. There's just like a lot. There's just the foods out there have chemicals in them and are toxic. So I think that, you know, everybody's like not feeling well. They're not energized. Brain fog is huge. Digestive issues are on the rise. Autoimmune issues, like we talked about, cancer, you know, all of it, diabetes. And so they need to be reset. They need to have, you know, someone kind of help guide them. And when you can deliver it to them so they don't have to cook it and don't have to meal prep it, it's the ultimate.
How often do we need to go on a cleanse and how long does it need to be? How does that impact?
That's also a great question because you can do my cleanse weekly. So because it's mostly plant-based, there is a bone broth, but if you're vegan, you can do a vegan broth. But I had a client on there for a year and a half and couldn't get off of it, loved it until she moved to London. So she just it's just really healthy food. So it's really cleansing it's not about, you know, the detox and like deprivation. It's about just feeding the body and nourishing it and giving your microbiome what it needs, the prebiotics, the probiotics, you know, giving the cells what it needs. Plant-based food is, as you know, being what, you know, how you eat, it really absorbs quickly into the system. Animal protein takes a long time to digest. And I do eat some animal protein, but plant-based food goes through the system, absorbs really quickly, and can give you energy really fast.
It's fascinating to me, isn't it? Because I think a lot of us are walking around, as you said, not feeling well, not feeling good, and we start to think that's normal. And I remember feeling that way where I just thought it was normal to get a headache, or I thought it was normal to have calf pain, or I thought it was normal that my gut wasn't healthy. Like I was just like, oh, that's normal. I'm getting older and I'm not even that old. And it's like, you just keep thinking, oh, this is normal. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you almost don't realize how good you can feel. And over the last couple of years, I've changed a lot about my diet, about my sleep, about my well-being routine, and I feel better than I've ever felt, even better than 5-6 years ago when I was younger. And you're someone that I think inspires so many of us in seeing how, and I know you're working on a new book too called Pro-Aging Hacks and the ability to stay healthy for longer. Talk to us about the moments in your life. As I was talking about in the introduction, you've gone through so much personal struggle and pain, which has shifted you in this direction. So does that mean before that you didn't eat healthy and that you didn't care? Walk us through that, Elissa Goodman, that we don't know.
Yeah, it was, you know, when I was born with this low white blood cell count. So I'm going to be 64 in 2 weeks. So
congratulations, that's amazing.
That was 60 years ago and no one knew about how to build the immune system. So like fast forward, I was sick all the time. You know, I had two parents that were really type A. And as a teenager and a young 20-year-old adult, they were running circles around me. So not only did I physically feel bad, so I was eating a lot of sugar, caffeine, you know, just trying to keep my energy up. But also emotionally, I was a little distraught because I'm like, how are these older, you know, parents running circles around me and I can't even keep up with them? Mentally, it did a number on me. And so I kind of just like, you know, tried to keep up with everyone and I was living the fast track. I was, you know, that's what I grew up with, making money, you know, being successful, moved from Arizona to New York, you know, worked in the advertising business, was just working around the clock, no sleep, and really eating really poor. Alcohol, entertaining, all of that. And I just felt crappy all the time. And at one point when I met my husband and we got married, I said to him, we're moving west. And basically he was like, New Jersey? Like, no. I go, no, we're going to California. I need sunshine. I need a slower way of life because I grew up in Arizona. And thank God for that, because when I landed in California, and I got this fantastic job with Vogue magazine. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I got all the accumulation of all my stress and not feeling well and eating really poorly was the cancer.
And how old were you then?
I was 32.
Wow.
I know. So I was getting a massage. Like you were saying, I felt crappy all the time. So I didn't know what, feeling good felt like. And I'm sitting there getting a massage with like sitting upright, and the masseuse felt a lymph node on my collarbone. And she's like, that's not okay. You're not supposed to have a swollen lymph node there. And so basically, next thing I knew, it was cancer. And I got really lucky. The masseuse was fantastic to find it early. And then I found this doctor who I went to, a radiologist, who sat me down and was staged by that time. And he said, are you happy? Do you love what you do for a living? Do you love your life? Do you love yourself? What's your stress like? What's your sleep like? That was 30 years ago. Doctors still don't say that today, which blows my mind because cancer is on the rise and all of these things. So like he made me feel at peace. Like he goes, we got to get your emotional well-being back in control and like get you to a better place, which I did. I dove into all of that. And then I became a vegan, and I was really lucky. I was in California, and there was Mrs. Gooch's before Whole Foods. So the food, there was a grocery store that was beautiful and organic meats, everything was like healthy, farm to table. And then I went and juiced all the time. I juiced every single day and did all the modalities here, yoga, self-help, went to see a therapist, and I got my shit together. Thank God. And then I went on to have, two really healthy girls. But after I did do some radiation, I chose not to do the chemo because of my immune system. And I knew my instincts told me that was going to take me down. So I did half of the radiation. My oncologist fired me because he said, you're not doing what I'm supposed to, what I'm trying to tell you to do. And so I found someone to do half the radiation. And the radiation gave me hypothyroidism, gave me Hashimoto's, celiac, all these other illnesses, anxiety, things that I hadn't had before, insomnia. So I basically, the radiation was awful. But I went on to have the girls. And then 11 and a half years later, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. So it's a crazy time. I mean, I got really healthy for that period after the cancer and for a while. And then I kind of went back into the unhealthy world a bit more. I didn't stay on that track. And so when he got cancer, I realized, oh my God, two parents who have cancer, and watching him pass away in a year and a half, that's when I really took it seriously. After he passed away at 45, I'm like, this has to be serious. And that's basically when I realized, I have to really get healthy because I didn't have any energy. I was my stamina was low because life with him was really crazy for a year and a half, in and out of the hospital. So, and I watched him go from a healthy man to a very unhealthy, and pass away of fungal pneumonia. So the cancer didn't get him, it was his immune system. And I followed the protocols of healthier eating and all those modalities when I was sick, but he didn't do that as much. He really was scared, and he just did what the doctor said. So it was a very different story. So thank God, then that's when I took it a step further and I really started getting healthy. And so ever since now, years later, almost 18 years later, I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s.
Wow.
Because of all the modalities.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I can't even begin to imagine what a challenging journey that is personally, and then in a relationship as well. What have you found and what have you discovered as you've been studying? Because I think, a lot of people will say, well, no, I need to get the radiation. I need to do what my doctors are saying. You obviously had a different confidence and an intuition around how you wanted to heal yourself. And I think ultimately it comes down to how people want to heal themselves. What have you found works at different stages? What have you seen across other patients who are struggling with cancer? What have you seen? What have you witnessed and observed?
It's been fascinating, Jay, because I have seen stage 4 cancer heal without using Western modalities. And it really is a mindset, as you are tuned into, it's de-stressing, it's like releasing trauma. It's really getting into your subconscious and rewiring it, is believing in yourself and having the confidence that you can heal from anything. I do believe you can heal from anything almost. So I feel like we got to believe it. And most people don't believe they can. And most people don't believe that they love themselves. They don't admire who they are. They don't love themselves. Their self-esteem is low. So I would say that is the biggest thing. When I ask clients all the time, when they have cancer, do you love yourself? And they're like, ooh, no one's asked me that question. And I'm like, that's something we really got to work on. Do you have peace in your life? Those are the things that totally changed my life. All of those things, finding love, finding peace, not labeling myself a sick kid, because I had labeled myself and all the people around me as a, young adult. I was the sick kid because I was always getting sick. So we label ourselves, when we have trauma in those early years, or we're just not in a good place, growing up, we do label ourselves. And those are the things we've got to rewire. Mm-hmm. I have found that to be number one. One of my favorite books, Radical Remission, Radical Hope, by Kelly Turner, the Heal documentary, all those things are beautiful in terms of like talking about that. And also just then, I would say it comes to the food. Food is medicine, as we know. So people, eating, nourishing, vegetables, plants, foods that are grown from the earth, that's where, from the sunshine, like energy-wise, that's a beautiful thing. I've always been a big juicer for 30 years, and I've been juicing ever since. I've taken some breaks, but I almost can't live without it. And so juicing greens has been like, I think, a lifesaver for me, because I feel like that's my multivitamin.
So let's break this down for people now so that they can practice it. So you've been a juicer for so long. Walk us through how to juice, what to juice, why to juice, and what the benefits are.
I know,
for a beginner.
I know, because there's a lot of like controversy about juicing. Yes. It's like all the nutrients are taken out of it,
Correct.
Course,
I'm hearing that a lot.
Yeah, and the fiber and all of that. But I was a purist, so I would juice and drink it right away. So I feel like, I was able to, and I would do a cold pressed juice. I wouldn't do heat. So that's also it. The nutrients stay intact with the cold press. So I love that. Nowadays, I'm just throwing them in a blender because I do love the fiber. So that, doesn't take out also the nutrients as fast. And I love having all that fiber. So I think people just don't eat enough vegetables. I'm trying to get clients to eat 8 to 10 cups of vegetables a day. And that is their eyes glaze over. Like, how the hell do I do that? And juicing, you can get 4 to 5 easily, throwing them in. And I do cucumber, celery, lemon, ginger, spinach, super easy things. And sometimes not so expensive. People think it's like very arduous and got to have all those vegetables, and it could be easy. Celery is huge in terms of the minerals. Cucumber is super hydrating, cleansing for the kidneys. Celery cleanses your gut, cleanses your liver. Spinach is full of iron. So ginger is, antibacterial, lemon. They're just beautiful things. And I think it just wakes me up every day and and also helps skin and digestion and all of that. So I think it's a beautiful way to start the day.
And you're having that first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That's what you have on an empty stomach, right? And you've just done that for years and found that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that too. I remember when celery juice became, had its wave, which was a few years ago now, I feel. And I remember trying it out, and I've still not found something better than celery juice.
So you just do straight celery juice still?
Generally, well, I'll probably do like celery with a bit of apple in it just to give it a bitter sweetness.
Right.
Just to make it easy to do.
Palatable.
So, yes, exactly. For me to enjoy it. Usually I would just stick to celery in the beginning, but then I was like, okay, I need to enjoy this a little bit. And so a little bit of apple in it would be perfect, but just enough, not too much. And to me, that's been one of my favorite things that has helped my gut heal so
Right,
much.
right.
And I find it to be such a powerful practice. So it resonates.
Well, who brought the celery juice craze on was the medical medium,
Yes,
right?
we've had him on the show.
Yes. And years ago, I was working with him as well. And he was the one who really did help me get past my autoimmune issues. So I started the celery juice like 4 or 5 years ago when it all just started. And, I was wondering, like, why is this celery juice so powerful? And I started clients on it as well. And I realized there was a little bit of a trick to it in terms of it's super hydrating. And I find that hydration is like really an epidemic right now. Dehydration is crazy. And celery is full of minerals. And also like is great with prebiotics and things like that. But the mineral content in celery is huge. So people are drinking this celery juice wondering like, how am I feeling so good? But it's hydrating them. So people just don't get up in the morning. And I always say it kind of blows my mind. I say people like have to have a mandatory of 2 cups of water, just 16 ounces of water before their coffee or their tea or anything caffeinated. And they're like, well, that's easy, but I don't do it. And then they call me back and go, well, that was life-changing, just 2 cups of water. I'm like, you paid me to tell you to drink 2 cups of water? That's crazy. But the celery juice is the same thing. It's super hydrating. When you're dehydrated, nothing works right. Your adrenals aren't working, your cortisol and your adrenaline are rising. You're not going to the bathroom regularly. Your brain can't work. You think you're hungry. Like, it really is like an epidemic. And we have all this beautiful water at our fingertips, but we just don't have minerals.
You know what? I've not actually thought about that. I don't think we've ever heard anyone say that so clearly because it, again, like you said, it sounds so obvious.
Right.
But most of us are not drinking close to enough water.
No.
And like you're saying, the minerals that actually come from the earth-grown vegetables that naturally are filled with it and packed with it.
Yeah, the plants and
We're not
legumes
really-
and complex carbs too. People are kind of anti-carbs when they want to lose weight, but they're full of minerals. So, and they also calm the central nervous system down.
What are some examples of those?
Those are legumes and beans, and also like I'd say some really good rices, quinoa, sweet potatoes, squash, all of those things, wild rice, black rice. I mean, those are beautiful complex carbs, also great for the gut as well. So yeah.
What have you seen about, because what we're really talking about here, like you said, the client that calls you up after doing it and says, I can't believe it worked and I can't believe I paid you for that, etc. That idea, it seems like, and even for you, like, you went through this terrible experience yourself, the radiation caused more challenges, you go through the tragic loss of a partner, like who's, also suffering from this. And you say that's what woke you up. And I think a lot of us, it's hard to think that a lot of us, and I guess that's why you do what you do, is you don't want people to wait for personal loss in order to get serious about their health and well-being. But I find that as humans, we're so bad at changing our habits and we're so quick to forget even pain. And I remember this, like not in close to the extremes that you have had, but I've had different reminders in my health where my body's slowed down or fallen apart or I've needed a surgery or whatever it may be. And it's so quick, like, a couple of months later, you're eating all the stuff again and you're just happy that you're back to being normal and you just let yourself go again. And then again, you get another wake-up call. And for me, I think what really got me serious was last year I sat down with my doctor who I've had on the show, Darshan Shah. And when we looked at all my bloods and everything, he said to me, Jay, this is not your fault because your diet seems to be good. But because of your genetic makeup, you're predisposed to diabetes and to cholesterol. And so even though you don't eat fried food and oily food and you don't eat that much sugar comparatively, you're just more predisposed to it. And when I heard that, I was like, all right, got it. Like I need to now be serious about my health. And I feel like that was towards the end of last year where I just really got dialed in. But it's almost like a lot of us wait for pain in order to get proactive. And I guess the reason you do what you do is to not let people wait for pain because that's just so painful and challenging.
Yeah.
What have you learned about habit change when you're working with your clients? What is it that really helps people change? What are some of the hacks? What are some of the habits that have transformed people's lives.
That's so good. I know, because I think since COVID, people are now starting to take their health more serious.
Agreed.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
And also, you're right. Like the diabetes is on the rise. Like blood sugar issues are crazy out of control. So like when I work with my clients, I would say like what you were saying earlier, with Next Health and all of that is like, I'm now doing blood work with every client I do blood work on. I'm doing really thorough blood work. I'm even doing heavy metals, all the metabolic, thyroid, all the hormones, even if they're young. And I'm seeing such fascinating things. Everybody's blood sugar is too high. It's not pre-diabetic yet, but it's very close. Their thyroid's out of whack. Their insulin levels are too high. Their cortisol is too high. It's wild. They got heavy metals. So they're heading towards health issues. And I feel like that has been the coolest thing lately for me to be in the last year doing that, because I'm catching these things before they get unhealthy. I know they don't feel good and they're lethargic and they're not sleeping well and they have hormone issues, but there's something behind it if they are eating healthy, like there is something physical like you found. And that has been game changing. Like to be able to, get their blood sugar under control, to get their thyroid working again, to also get their hormones working better before they even go into menopause has been huge. So I feel like those things have been life-changing, the blood work stuff, and doing it once a year, amazing. And great for the clients. Like it's not expensive to do with me. Also, then it's about, really one thing at a time. So like we talked about, like maybe getting them hydrated the first week. Secondly, maybe getting them eating more plant-based foods. Of course, the sleep is crucial. Like people aren't sleeping enough. And also getting them sleeping better and helping them sleep better. There's a lot of modalities, in terms of getting healthy, but I don't want to overwhelm them. So I try desperately not to overwhelm them, with giving them too much off the bat. I mean, I am a supplement junkie. I've been like dabbling with supplements since I had cancer. Now it's $1 billion business and there's too many out there and there's a lot of crappy supplements out there. So I do feel really lucky that I've dabbled in it a long time, so I know what's good and what isn't. And I had to also deal with it myself. So I take a lot of supplements and I figure out what works for me and what doesn't. And I muscle test them on myself and all of that. And I try to teach my clients to muscle test the supplements on them.
What's a muscle test?
Okay, so this is fascinating. You have never heard of this?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's called something else.
I feel like I thought at Next Health they do that. Maybe not. But you actually stick a supplement like on your gut, or you can hold it. And actually, it's kind of like Eastern medicine. Either you hold your hand out and somebody pushes your hand down. If you're with somebody, okay, that's muscle testing. How you do it on yourself is you put it on your gut and you stand try to balance yourself and stand upright. And then you say, hey, is this B complex right for me? And then your body moves forward if yes, and back if no. And then you say, should I take one? Should I take two? And your body tells you everything. It's so in tune. We were born with these incredible instincts and we lose touch with them, right? Like we lose touch along the way with all the things that have gone on in our life. And it's the same thing with food, with supplements, with what we need to do to heal ourselves and where we want to be in our lives is all instinctual. So the instincts are huge. So I try to teach them that as well.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because I feel like we've become so distrusting of our bodies.
Yeah.
Because we've been told to trust someone or something else. And of course, we do need guides, we need experts, we need doctors, and I'm not discouraging anyone from any of those things. I'm just saying that I think claiming back some of that, in the same way as when you eat something, whether your body is accepting or rejecting it based on how it's feeling. And of course, if your digestion is strong, then it gives you the best sense. Sometimes if your digestion is weak, it may not give you the best marker. But when you're talking about vitamins and supplements, walk us through, in a practical sense, how does someone make a choice? What do they need to read on the back of a box or a bottle with vitamins and supplements? Like what should they be looking for and what should they be looking at to make sense of it from a technical standpoint, not just the intuition standpoint?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because you want to have as least fillers and additives in that supplement as possible.
And what's a filler and an
So
additive?
filler is like something that just fills up the supplement. It's like a, crystalline cellulose is a filler. Not all the supplement is going to be the B complex, but they need other things, to bind the Bs, for you to be able to digest them. So a lot of times, or like it's expensive to have the supplement be all, liposomal C or B or whatever, or vitamin D. So a lot of times they add the additives so that it isn't as costly. So it really is a struggle because a lot of people don't do well with these additives and they don't know that. So microcrystalline cellulose is one that's in a lot of supplements and it gives you digestive issues if you're taking too many. So you could see a lot of people's supplements and they can all have microcrystalline cellulose. I mean, it's wild. So or soy lecithin, or just these additives, just like in foods. It kind of maintains the shelf life of the supplement as well. So it's hard to find supplements without that because they're costly. And a lot of people can't afford that.
Right.
So that's why, I try to go more like with the food and that, lead with the food and then supplements come second.
Right.
But there are some supplements out there that we absolutely do need. Vitamin D is one of them. I mean, since COVID, the studies that have been done on vitamin D, and especially liposomal D, because liposomal is a phospholipid outside of a, supplement and basically is better to absorb, easier to absorb, like liposomal C and liposomal glutathione, all those things. And so basically, D, when you raise your D levels, you can lower your cholesterol. Actually, you raise your D levels, it's better for your immune system. It's better for cognitive function. People don't realize that there's a vitamin D cell receptor in every cell in your body. So, there's that. It's omega-3s. It's magnesium. And like there's certain things out there, B complex for stress.
Yeah, one thing I definitely didn't realize until I really got on a good regime of supplements and vitamins was just how much harder I was working to feel good.
Right.
Like it was, I just thought it was a mental battle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was fighting the mental battle every day with meditation and mindfulness and everything else. And then I realized I was like, actually, I would have been a much better meditator if I just took supplements and vitamins early on, because then your body's actually helping you with that focus and with the physical activity or movement and exercise, right? Whether it's hiking or sport or whatever it may be. And it's so funny now that you're naming all these things, I'm like, I've seen all these things on the backs and never known what that means. And it's so easy to just feel so uneducated. And I've definitely felt that way in this space, without having good people around you. It's so hard to really know whether what you're doing is good for you or not. Walk us through, like, if we took a random stack of snacks right now, and I don't want to pick on any brands or anything like that in any way, but if you were to teach someone how to read the back of a snack pack, what should they be looking out for? Because this is something that I believe has changed the way I snack. Mm-hmm. And I'd say my diet is like maybe, I don't know, at this point, like 5% processed or packaged foods in any, if that. Probably when I'm traveling, I'll have like a protein bar that I travel with or something like that. But generally it's not. I'm on the whole foods diet and everything else. But it wasn't that way before. I used to think that if I ate healthy snacks, then that was okay. So I would eat packaged goods and then 50% of my diet was packaged goods or maybe 30%. Walk us through what we should be looking out for, because I think so much is hidden on these.
Well, it's the same thing as the supplements. There's a laundry list of things on the back of the snack, box or bag or whatever that you don't even recognize, right? Like it's just, they're like, certain dyes that are bad for us. And like going back to the soy lecithin, like soy lecithin is really bad for us.
I see that everywhere. It's so funny. I've pronounced that wrong for my whole life now that you've told me.
I love whole soy products, but when it's processed down to that, it's bad. It's like the bad seed oils. That's omega-6s and 9s and like really causing inflammation. So again, if it's a laundry list of things that you don't recognize, like that kind of is a no-go. Let's talk about some of the things we know, like plant milks. They've been huge for years, right? Now thank God, there's better, healthier plant milks out there. They're just almonds and sea salt and water. Like those are the things to look for. Something that's just simple. Even the cheeses, I do love some of the plant-based foods and cheeses and some of the fake meats, but again, they could have a lot of bad stuff in them. So it's like, sometimes you just got to go for the less is more. Even the protein bars too. Every so often it's not bad to have some of these things that do have these, all these things in them, because you're not going to be perfect. But I would say 75% of the time, 80% of the time, to try to look for, those things on the back and just try to do things with less additives, because your system doesn't know how to process it, doesn't know how to digest it. And the more you add these additives into your body, I think more toxic you become. And also the digestive system, like the digestive issues are crazy out of control. Like I created a digestive cleanse because it's been like everybody has digestive issues. Everybody calls me like every time I eat, I get bloated. I can't eat anything now, or I can't go to the bathroom, like the constipation for days on end. Like it's really crazy. Or the other side of it where they're going to the bathroom too much. That's an epidemic, like the hydration.
Yeah. So you're saying when you're looking at, if you're outside, you're looking for snacks and products, it's like less ingredients, simple ingredients and real ingredients, basically things that you actually know what they are. If you don't know what they are,
right,
that's probably a sign that. And the problem is it doesn't taste as good though.
No, it doesn't.
Like,
Sometimes.
I had a protein bar the other day because I was at Expo and I had a protein bar and I was like, oh, great. Like this literally had 3 ingredients on it. I was so excited to eat it and I tried it and it was so bad compared to the one that I've been programmed to love, which has all the other 30 things that you'd say I shouldn't eat and are not good for me. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, I wish I was trained to believe that whole natural foods were tasty and healthy, whereas because I've been so spoiled by my taste buds have been ruined by all of this other stuff that now feels captivating and exciting and tasty.
Yeah. Most of America has, right? I mean, the sugar in these things, like, there's a lot of sugar in these bars and in these milks and cheeses or whatever it is because things don't taste so great when they are on that simple side. There's a lot of salt, there's a lot of sodium. So to make them taste better.
Walk us through the core needs that people come to you with. So that you said there's a gut cleanse. Walk us through the different cleanses that people need in their life.
So the regular cleanse is really, I'll tell you a little bit about what's on it. There's a detox tonic on it with coconut kefir, which is a probiotic drink.
I love coconut kefir.
I am
good.
a big fan of probiotics and I love coconut kefirs, cocoyo, and there's a lot of great products out there on the market. Then it has chlorophyll, apple cider vinegar, lemon, ginger in there. And then there's my homemade super seed bar. Then you basically get a bone broth or a vegan broth. Our bone broth is really gelatinous, and so there's a lot of collagen, which I love. And then you get different salads for the week, different salad dressings, fermented vegetables. You get different soups for the nighttime, and then you get lattes for the evening. Then you also get digestive enzymes and you get magnesium. So to make sure that everything's working properly. Because people going from an animal protein diet into a plant-based, legumes and beans can disrupt their stomach. And also a lot of vegetables can as well. So there's that one. There's a 3-day.
So with that one, walk us through. So are you encouraging people to not have dinners in that? Is that
the soup is dinner?
Yes, right.
Or they could have soup for lunch and do the salad for dinner.
Right.
So it's not super strict. A lot of people who exercise a ton will add a little bit of animal protein, to the meal potentially, and it doesn't take you away from the cleanse. So again, you're just getting tons of vegetables. You're getting anti-inflammatory, nourishing, nurturing foods. So that one is like my regular one that has been going on for 9 years. Sometimes it blows my mind because the tonic's been on there for 9 years. The bar's been on there. It's crazy that things are still popular. People buy the tonics and the bars separately. And then the gut cleanse has activated charcoal on there. So
walk us through that.
What activated charcoal? So I love activated charcoal because it lowers bacterial loads in your gut.
Wait, how do you eat activated charcoal?
You take a pill.
Right. right. Okay.
You can put it in a drink, and you could put it in the detox tonic, or in water or whatever. But it's a pill. It's a very strong pill, and I have found when I had insulin resistant clients who couldn't lose weight, weight resistant clients, their insulin was high, their gut bacteria was too high. So I would put them on 5 days of activated charcoal and lower their insulin levels, which was like fantastic. So that's how the gut cleanse came about. So they get activated charcoal, they still get the enzymes, they get the magnesium, but they get chia pudding, they get sauerkraut, they still get the detox tonic. They don't get the bar because a little too much sugar. I don't want sugar for them because of the bacteria. And then they get everything else that's pretty similar. And the nighttime is a Tulsi tea. That holy basil is one of my favorites. It's anti-inflammatory and great for the gut, great for sleep. So that's the other cleanse that I love. And so what I'm trying to do for people is really clean them out. Those clients are the ones that have a little bit of constipation issues, like aren't going to the bathroom regularly. And they're, by the end of the week, they're going 2 and 3 times a day.
Wow.
That's another crazy thing. Because
Just
people go
in 5 days,
once a day. That's considered constipated these days. It's crazy. So
walk us through that, because that's always like an uncomfortable topic for people.
I know.
It's something that people don't talk about. But I mean, I don't think we're getting to the point of understanding how important the digestive system is.
Yeah.
And how often should be people going to the restroom? What should be the healthy way of going about that area of their life?
Well, once a day is good. Twice is great. 3 is perfect. So we really, because we don't get enough fiber, because we don't get enough hydration, because we're stressed, because when we're stressed, our digestive system completely shuts down. We are not being able to digest our food. So also we're eating a lot of animal protein. So it takes, 14 hours to get through the small intestine, cow and animal protein, and 90 minutes for plant-based food, which is crazy. So
say that difference again?
So for plant-based food, it takes 90 minutes to get through the small intestine. For cow and animal protein, it takes 14 hours. So we're eating eggs for breakfast and chicken for lunch and salmon for dinner. So we're just not that it's bad for you, but we're not getting hydration. We're not getting fiber. We're stressed.
If you're not doing all the other things.
We're not doing the other things. We're not sleeping. Sleeping is very detoxifying and helping us with our digestive system. So, so we're supposed to be kind of like an animal and going after every meal. And people are a little bit like, oh, please don't tell me that.
Yeah, wow.
I know.
It's interesting how interconnected it all is, though. Like you talked about hydration earlier, we're talking about the gut now. Like it's fascinating because it's almost like, even for me, I was talking to a friend about it this morning, and we were just talking about how we're like, okay, we want to get proteins, but then if I'm eating this, because as a plant-based person, to get proteins harder, it's also that way around, right? So you're trying to get enough protein in your diet, but then it's like, well, maybe that particular item doesn't sit well with my gut and doesn't make me feel good. And so you're also finding that as well, right? It's not as simple as well, this is really great for everyone.
Right.
It's so individual.
Yeah. It's not a one size fits all. Right. And I do believe in, if you're vegan, I can help someone get enough protein, or vegetarian, or, animal protein. For me, I grew up eating animal protein. So I feel like I need that. And I feel like as I've aged, I feel like I need more amino acids. But sometimes certain animal proteins don't agree with me. So I do take digestive enzymes before I eat animal protein so I can digest it. So, what
form do you take your digestive enzymes?
I love this Enzymatica Digest Gold. AT Pro is one of my favorites. It's on the cleanse. But you can also get it from apple cider vinegar. You could also get it from bitter greens like dandelion greens, arugula, endive, radicchio. So sometimes I'll just take a handful of arugula before I eat a meal. It's really crazy, and it'll wake up your enzymes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I didn't know that.
Or after a meal, if you kind of have a digestive issue, you could take some arugula and eat it. I know it sounds very strange, or have some apple cider vinegar, or take an enzyme after the meal. It doesn't have to be before the meal. So there are a lot of tricks that people sometimes don't know, because digestion can be an issue. And I also don't overdo the animal protein. I'm not having 8 to 10 to 12 ounces of something. I'm having 3 to 4 ounces. So that's 30, 40 grams of protein. So I feel like nowadays protein is the hot topic. Like, some people feel like you need to get a gram per body weight, but I'm really someone who feels like, 70, 75 grams for women is great. So that's kind of easy to do.
And of course, it impacts based on your workouts.
Exactly.
And everything else that are going on.
Yeah. And hoping that you do digest, what you're eating.
Yeah.
That's important.
I've found that adding protein to my diet felt heavy on my digestion, but actually it's now led to better digestion. But it took this like transition point where I was like, God, that's really heavy. Like it's harder to digest in the beginning.
Yeah.
Even though it should be helping me.
Right.
But then I feel like it's just staying committed to it. My digestion's got used to it. Is that natural? Do you find that?
That's the same with legumes and beans, because
Right.
people will go on the cleanse and be like, I can't eat legumes and beans.
Right.
Then they're not used to that because they're animal protein eaters. And most of us have been animal protein eaters. I feel like most people I talk to, they just don't, they feel like big beans and legumes are gassy and are hard to digest. But the more you eat them, the easier they are in the system.
Right.
Yeah, your digestive system gets, used to it.
Yeah.
Right. It is kind of wild.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making when it comes to their health and well-being that you've kind of noticed as trends over the years, that these seem to just be the things that trip people up?
That's such a great question because there's so many. But I would say, a lot of people are over supplementing.
Oh,
So-
interesting.
Yeah, they are like on social media, TikTok or Instagram, and they're seeing all these influencers who are great at what they do, but they're promoting all these different products and they have no idea if that product is right for them. So they're buying it. So I'll like see cupboards and like suitcases of people who have all these supplements and they're taking them and they don't feel good. They're not really making them feel better. But the person who's promoting it said this is gonna change your life.
Right.
So that's huge. Also, like what's also hard is basically like following the prototype, like gluten free, or not everybody needs to be gluten free or like dairy free or all of those things. So, or they're not gluten free. The other side of it, they're just not like eating like. They're not taking gluten out of the diet because it's inflammatory, or dairy, or sugar. Sugar is a huge one. So people really feel that sugar, they can have a little sugar. Some people can't. So I think food-wise, it's like there's so many misconceptions of what they should or shouldn't be doing. If they should be gluten-free or not, or dairy-free, or maybe like, could they have some sugar or not? Just, it depends on like what their blood sugar is, what their gut is happening. I'm seeing a lot of that, the supplements. I also see that people are over-exercising.
Wow.
Too. Like they're like doing Barry's boot camp and spin classes, and their cortisol and adrenaline is so high and they're so stressed and their adrenals are fatigued, and it's just making them more tired.
That's why you have to be observing the 360. And that's what's so hard about it, because you could look great
Right.
and then still feel terrible and be super stressed out because it's kind of like, we were having this conversation offline, which, last night I played pickleball for 2 hours. It was super physical. I think everyone's fitness trackers said that we burnt like 1,100 calories last night playing for 2 hours. But I came back and my body temperature was really high. And so when I got into bed, and as I was telling you, my AC unit wasn't working, so I couldn't lower the temperature in the bedroom, and my house gets quite hot. So I had a high body temperature, and the temperature of the room was probably like 78, which is super high. And so then now it was so hard for me to sleep. And I remember while I was struggling to sleep, I just started researching body temperature and why it was hard to sleep and all the rest of it. And that's all it was saying. And I was thinking, this is so interesting, because I could be thinking, oh, it's because I'm stressed about something, or I've got loads on. And it's like, well, no, it's just body temperature and the temperature of my room.
Right.
And it's challenging because I think that, food is such a source of joy. It's such a source of excitement for so many people. And yet now when you start really getting into it, it can become such a source of stress and such a source of pressure. Like, oh my God, I'm eating too much of this, I'm eating too little of this. Like, oh no, I didn't meal prep this week. And oh no, now like I didn't get it. Oh, I forgot to take my vitamins. Like, I think we're so stressed about being healthy. How have you made sense of that? Because I can find when I'm having this conversation, there's a part of me, I've been through the ups and downs of that, where I've been like, God, I hate dealing with my health, right? Because it's so stressful. And now I'm in a better place with it. But that's taken a long time to even recognize that healing journey of realizing I'm doing this because I love myself. I'm doing this because I believe in myself. I'm doing this because I love my body. I love my heart. I love myself, which is why I get to do this. But that has taken a long time even for me. So walk us through how people can balance that stress to be healthy when it should be making us less stressed.
I know, that's another good one. It's just like this over supplementing and like, you walk into Erewhon and you like talk about stress. There's all this, healthy, beautiful food and you don't know what to choose, right? It's like, oh my God, like there's so much out there. It's just overwhelm. And I feel like, you've just got to get back in tune with yourself and you can't overdo anything. I think you got to go back to the basics. You just got to go back to eating real food. Try to do that. You've got to, if the supplements are disturbing you, just do less. Just do the basics of what you need. Multivitamin, vitamin D, magnesium, just simple things. You've got to hydrate, you got to sleep. Like, just like you can't like get all worked up over these things because you're right, you're not going to do them. You're just like not going to do them. Like I find people just being like, this is way too much. You want it to be simple. You want them to feel better. You want them to see results. So less is more. And I feel like, we have become a society where we're doing way too much. And we got to pull back. We got to believe in ourselves. I think, with the meditation, like I'm a huge meditator and that's so helpful for me because I'm a type A personality and I'm always like, go, go, go. And I got to get shit done. But when I pull back and I meditate and I do yoga and I chill out, like then my mind tells me what I need, because I could do that too. I can over supplement. I can, be really like uptight about, wow, I went to this restaurant and they didn't have gluten-free pizza or, or wild salmon. I remember ordering that stuff and my whole family would be like, oh my God, we can't eat with you because you're such a pain in the ass. But now I'm just like, okay, who cares, But you do have to kind of like get back in touch with and reconnect your mind with your body and be like, okay, what works for me? I can't like, you can't go crazy about this stuff.
How have you allowed yourself to fall in love with yourself and your body and your heart and your mind again and again and again when the body gets older, it changes, it transitions, it shifts? Like what has been like your inner practice to keep that?
Do you
I'm asking really deeply.
Really deep.
I'm asking. I'm
this
asking
is,
a deep question.
Yeah, this is fascinating. But when I did figure it out, like at 58 years old, I did plant medicine. So I did psilocybin and Journey, and I really did see what my subconscious was doing to me. My subconscious was still labeling me a sick kid, always fearful. I was looking over my shoulder that another illness was going to come along the way. I was never going to be healthy. I didn't even know what calm or self-love felt like, so that really, I saw what I was doing to myself. And I also felt a sense of peace and calm with that. So once I was able to release all of those, subconscious feelings that weren't working for me anymore, I grabbed onto the ones that I was like, okay, I want that calm. I want that self-love more. And that's what really got me in touch with it. And then that's when I meditate, I can go back to that place where I was when I did some plant medicine to get me past that hump. I had done a lot of therapy. I'd done a lot of Reiki, a lot of meditation, a lot of energy healing, crystals, all the stuff. But that was really the place that put me over the edge to really get me to a place where I could recapture, and really find that calmness and happiness. And like, that's felt so incredible, that feeling. So I journal a ton. I do have to journal and talk about what frustrates me during the day to let go of it. And then I talk about what I'm grateful for. That's huge. The meditation's huge. The yoga's huge. Just like also getting out in nature is absolutely huge. I mean, we haven't talked about this at all, but, and you probably do this, getting out in morning sun is a practice that is just incredible. Like it boosts your mood. It actually helps with depression. It helps with the immune system. It helps lower blood sugar and blood pressure. And it's like a beautiful way to start your day. The sun is so incredible. So those are, and then I just feel like so hopeful because the sun comes up every day, right? It goes down, it comes up. It's like, okay, everything's going to be okay.
I want to go back to the plant medicine point because
okay.
I love hearing that and I want to dive into that with you.
I didn't know if that was something I could talk about on the show.
100%. Of course it is.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't know what a plant medicine journey looks like, like walk us through what that journey looks like.
So it is psilocybin mushrooms, and I've done ayahuasca, psilocybin, bunch of plant medicine, and I did it with a shaman, a one-on-one, which was beautiful because I recommend that because there's a lot of things you want to manifest and like let go of.
Where did you go to do this?
I did it at home actually. With the shaman came to me and so it was a friend of mine, and there was just a lot of stuff I was dealing with and some insomnia at the time. And so he came and we kind of manifested what I wanted to release. And when I was on the journey with the mushrooms, he would talk to me and say, hey, how are you feeling? What do you think of this? When you were sick or when you had cancer or your husband died. I mean, and I was like, wow, that was a really difficult time that I haven't let go of. Those thought patterns and the fear, I haven't let go of that. So he was like, okay, what does it feel like if you were to let go of that? And I'm like, can I let go of that? Is that like possible? And he's like, absolutely. You can get to the other side of this because, the first 7 years of our life, our subconscious is fully downloaded. And then, those thought patterns keep repeating themselves in our subconscious. And we operate 95% out of our subconscious, which always blows my mind, Jay, because 5% conscious, that's crazy. So, I mean, that's what it did. He would write down, things I said and just how I was able to release them. And once I was able to release them, Jay, they didn't come back. Like, it was like the things that came back was the feeling of the peace and the love and like not wanting to beat myself up. And like be hard on myself and I was a perfectionist too. That was part of the protocol. I think that got me sick. And so that perfectionism, somewhat left me, probably not 100%, but a lot of it did.
You're taking the plant medicine.
Yes.
Someone's guiding you almost like in a therapy session, a coaching session, guiding you through questions and helping you become aware of where some of these blocks may be, where some of these challenges may be. I'm breaking it down for everyone who may be unaware. And then what does releasing in that session look like? Like what is that? Is that a feeling? Is it a visualization? Is it you trying to let go? Like what does that look like in the session? And then we'll talk about after.
Yeah, that's a good question too. Because it could be it's a purging. It's, you could hysterically cry because it's like, it's emotion that you've hung on to for many, many years and, repeated these thought patterns. So it could be crying, it could be screaming, it could be, just like this feeling of, wow, I can't believe I've done this to myself. And I would say that, it's more like just the feeling of sadness. And the crying and the like some maybe yelling like, God damn, I can't believe, like, how was I so hard on myself? Like, I don't need to be that hard on myself. I didn't need to do that to myself. So it was like, and then he's amazing. He was there to like hold me and support me and just really like, add just love and help me breathe through it. And once you kind of like are able to be like, okay, I don't want that anymore. in my life. And then you breathe through it and you're able to, breath work is like, I'm sure you've done breath work, is incredible. You can actually, in breath work, you can feel like you're on plant medicine a lot of times. So, breathing through it and releasing it through breath work is a beautiful thing. So that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. And are you feeling or seeing?
Both. You could see yourself in a distance, like what you do to, it's almost like another, you're looking at yourself. Yeah, you're feeling it and you're seeing yourself in a distance, how you're reacting and interacting. And even if you're interacting with other people, even people in your family or things that have gone on, you can actually see it. It's kind of wild.
Wow.
I know it's not for everybody.
No, for sure. I've known many clients who've worked with it and found it to be useful as well. I think it's important to share because I want to ask, when you come out of it, like when the session is over, how much have you found that you're able to, what are you holding on to? What do you take with you? And what still stays the same? Because as we know, it's, no change is ever miraculous or immediate. So what do you take with you and what still exists and is a process?
That's beautiful too, because what I took with me was that sense of calm and like self-love and what I wanted to have more in my life. But I did also take away, the part of how much I was beating myself up and, how hard I was on myself and what I had and why I think I had gotten all these illnesses and why I had gotten the cancer and just why I was at the place I was in my life where I wasn't getting what I really wanted ultimately, whether it also was with relationships or, intimately, like all those things were really important to me to find. And, there was blockages. So I realized like it was really cool to be able to journal about those blockages later. Like, oh my God, I want to release that. And I kind of had to do that. And I still have to do that. It's not a miracle cure. I still in my life have to be like, okay, I need to release, that thought pattern. I still kind of walk around a little bit with it, but not to the same extent. When I did the journey, I was unconscious about it. Now I'm conscious. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. It's that awareness.
Right.
Where something came from.
Yeah.
What was it for you, if you don't mind sharing? What was it that you found when you asked, like, that's why I believe I'm going to get sick again? Or that's why I got sick in the first place? Where was that coming from?
That was coming from like growing up, because when I was sick all the time and my mom, labeled me a sick kid. And she would always be like, there she is again, sick, like, well, we got to be really sensitive with her because, she might get sick. And so I kind of just, followed that, what she said. And that's really where it came from. It was those early years of always being, not feeling well.
And you're saying that also helps you then deal with challenges that come today.
Yeah.
Like that awareness helps you make sense of different things that come up now.
And also with my clients, not only for myself, it's changed my life completely, but my clients, I can see that happening for them, because I've been through all these health issues and because I was, in this subconscious thoughts of these repeated messages that weren't working for me. We talk about that. I'm like, okay, what is going on with you that's blocking you? Because there's something blocking you from getting healthy or wanting to heal, or a lot of the cancer ones, we talk about those things. And also, they're also like, no one's asked me that. No one's asked me what my blockages are or, what's going on with me. Like, did anything happen in those first 7 early years of your life that maybe was traumatic? Jay, all of them had like death, divorce, or someone was mean to them, they didn't, and then they lost trust and faith in the universe, sort of, I know it's a little woo-woo, but they lost faith in like, that they didn't have what's in them to be able to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like that has been like a beautiful thing for me working with clients and helping them heal. I'm not trained to get them past it. Someone like you can get them past it to some degree. But it's like that work of, diving into the subconscious. And I work with a hypnotist that's beautiful and some energy healers that are wonderful too. And I'll send them to them as well if they need to like do the extra work, and most of them do.
What do you find those modalities support? And by the way, I agree. I mean, what we're really talking about today, and I encourage people to follow their own intuition and guide as to what speaks to them, because as it's almost like as you grow and learn more, you realize how much there is still to explore and how everyone's so different, and everyone needs a different way to become aware and a different way to become conscious. Like I found a lot of my personal awakening and consciousness in meditation and being with my teachers and listening for hours and study and practice. And then I meet people who needed a moment of revelation through plant medicine, or I meet people who found it another way. And I just realized everyone is so different, and everyone's trauma is so different, and everyone's healing journey looks so different that we can't close the door on any of these modalities, because, and I always say that, like sometimes people ask me like, would you be open to this? And I'm like, if I needed something, if I was trying to unblock something, I'd be open to anything, because I should be. Like, why should I close off from any opportunity for healing that I need? Just because it may not be as common or as marketed or whatever the right word is. But for you, I guess the question I was asking is, when we're talking about this like 360-degree approach, when you talked about hypnotism, and what was the other modality you just mentioned?
Just energy healing.
Energy healing. So specifically with hypnotism, like
Yeah.
where does that modality play into everything we've talked about today? Like because again, I think it sounds so mysterious and maybe like you said, woo-woo, but like what is the point of that modality is I guess the question I'm asking.
So I feel like some hypnotists that are really good are able to tap into your subconscious as well. So a little bit like therapy, but it goes much deeper than talk therapy. The hypnotist that I work with, she's able, like I'll talk to her about something that is bothering me or I can't sleep about. And she's like, oh, this is what's like at the root of your issue. And I'm like, how did you know that? She can like dive in and see like, this is what's bothering you. So that's what I find is really helpful. And then she'll do a meditation specifically for me. So I've had tremendous amount of clients go to her or to a hypnotist that's really good who don't eat healthy, who don't exercise, who don't sleep well. So then they'll go and she's able to get them to sleep well. She's able to find out what is causing them not to sleep well, and she's able to get them to eat healthy. Like it's kind of crazy. They'll wake up the next day and automatically start thinking about eating healthy. Now, I have to tell you that this doesn't last. So you have to listen to her meditations again or see her again, or, again, it's like a practice.
Well, because basically what you're saying here is that every decision, thought, choice we make is simply a programming of our subconscious. And we've created a subconscious pattern since we were born that has led us to where we are now. And if we don't like where we are and we want to shift it, we have to reprogram our subconscious mind. And that requires understanding your thoughts, self-awareness, journaling, meditating, reflection, and then if you need it, plant medicine, hypnotism, just the plethora of options there. Because I think what we get stuck with is we believe that our current set of habits are who we are, right? We think that the way we eat now is who we are and what we need and what it needs to be, not realizing that it is simply a programmed pattern that you adopted at one point in your life and you started to believe it was you.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like that's what's so fascinating, I think, about what I get to do. Because I do find that, people do feel like, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I know. This is, I'm not going to ever get past here. I might get a little better, but I might not get great.
Yes.
And I'm like, what's with this little better? You need to be great. Like, I feel that way with my life. Like at 64, I feel great. I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s. So I want people to like know that, when I say, how are you? I want them to say great, and I'm just okay. So yeah, that, all of those patterns that they learn, some are luckier than others that have better patterning and, better upbringings in terms of just like healthier lifestyles. And maybe not so, they were more secure and, self-awareness earlier on in their life, which is lucky for them. But a lot of people that I work with weren't. And like it's never too late to change. I feel like, there's a lot of years to live, right? I mean, my mom is 94. I know. So like she's going strong. And I'm like, I hope I'm 94 and going strong like that, but it takes work to get there and to do that. And I feel that's really just all of this. I want, the modalities are endless out there, as like anti-aging and just all of the new stuff and the stem cells and the, NAD and just everything, cold plunge and just all of it is a beautiful thing. Infrared, just getting us healthier and healthier. So, I mean, it's a lot to like learn, but it's kind of cool that, we're on the precipice of all these beautiful things that can really turn back the clock.
Absolutely. Have you ever talked to your mother about the sick kid label?
Yes. Yeah. And, it was beautiful because she did apologize. She's like, I didn't know any different, and which she didn't. She didn't know. And I think that, a lot of us like taking care of people too. And she loved being able to take care of me when I was sick too. And I felt nurtured in those times as well. So I got a little something out of it. It wasn't all bad.
Yeah. Absolutely. Elissa, it has been such a joy to talk to you today. And honestly, your personal journey that's led to so much professional service and love and support for so many people, and the amount of insight that you've given today, I think everyone's going to be able to take away. And this is what I would encourage everyone to do. Is Elissa's shared so much great advice today. Find just one thing that you want to practice for the next 7 days. It may be to eat more whole foods. It may be to cut out sugar. It may be to research a bit more about inflammation and learn about it. Like, I think just pick one thing that resonates with you, that you want to try and up-level your life with. It could be getting your vitamin D right. It could be sun exposure, whatever else it may be. And start there and just feel the confidence shift from doing one thing per week and then keep adding more. And a lot can happen. Elissa, we end every episode of the podcast with a final 5. These fast 5 have to be answered in 1 word to 1 sentence maximum.
Oh, God.
And so they're capped that way. So Elissa Goodman, these are your final 5. The first question is, what is the best advice you've ever heard or received?
To love yourself, to learn to love yourself.
Beautiful. Second question, what is the worst advice you've ever heard or received?
That you're never going to get better. You're not going to heal.
Question number 3, what's something that you used to believe was true about good health, but you don't think so anymore?
I used to believe that just sleeping was going to get me healthy. Good sleep was going to get me healthy.
Talk to me a bit about
And it's
that.
not just that.
Anything.
Right. It's not just one thing. It's a combination of things. Yeah.
And we're always looking for that one thing. Like, we all want that one miracle drug.
Right.
Like, what's that one thing I need to do that's going to change my
Right.
life? And it's 360. There is
Right.
no one. Yeah, that makes sense. Question number 4, what's the first thing you do every morning and the last thing you do every night?
The first thing I do every morning is probably journal. And journal about how I want my day to look like. And the same thing at night.
Beautiful.
To release the stress.
Wonderful. And 5th and final question, if you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
I would say just be kind to yourself and others. Really try to understand that people are going through a lot in their life and to not judge right away, to have some self-compassion for yourself and the others that you're with.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I really believe that the reason we judge others so harshly is because we're so harsh on ourselves and we haven't found the ability to show ourselves that self-love, that compassion, that empathy. And so it's so difficult to show it externally to people we've never met or don't know. And yeah, I love that. Elissa, is there anything that I haven't asked you that was on your heart and mind that you really want to share, that you really feel like is your call to right now, or feel intuitively is important? And you don't have to have anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did touch on it, just ending with the fact, that life can get better in every way, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Don't give up on yourself is probably my biggest, don't ever give up on yourself.
I love that. I mean, you're a great spokesperson for that, for sure. And I love that energy. I think it's so easy to be like, oh, my best days are behind me. Oh, it's all going in the wrong direction now, or, whatever it may be. And I mean, just sitting with you and hearing from you today, I can tell just how real the opposite of that is for you. And it's aspirational and inspiring for me, for sure, because yeah, you continue to live an exciting life and know that there's so much more life to live, as opposed to accepting that this is the end, or this may not be. And I think it's really interesting. I was talking to a friend about this idea of how we often think we manifest bad things, kind of like your sick kid approach. Like we often think like, oh my God, I did this to myself. And I was talking to a friend about this, and this idea of like, well, if we can do that to ourselves, then we surely can do the opposite. I just want to get your sense on that.
Absolutely. I know that's a big thing happening out there. I mean, I'll need to plug my two girls who are my inspiration in my life. And, I feel like I manifested the relationship with them. Like I can't live without them, and I look up to them and I admire them. And, I want to be here to be a spokesperson for them, so that when they have bad days and they say maybe something like that, hey, I think I manifested this bad stuff to happen. I'm like, no, you can change that. You can manifest the good stuff in your life. And that's really drives me every day, is to be able to hopefully be there for them, to help them manifest the good stuff. Yes, I know that a lot of people feel like they manifest the bad things, but you're right, you can totally change it around. And, and they're young, and I definitely didn't have the awareness they have in their 20s. I wish I did. I'm really bummed about that, because I am really in awe of how they function and operate, and, how quickly they can turn things around for themselves. And I think they've been through a lot. Probably that's why. But the manifesting the good stuff. I want them, and, when I'm not here later in my life, I want them to be able to do that easily.
I love that. Well, I think you set them up for amazing success.
They set me up.
Yeah, and I didn't start talking about them because I could have spent the whole episode talking about Jordan. So I don't know.
I know, true.
But thank you so much, Elissa, for coming on to On Purpose. Everyone who's been listening and watching, make sure you share your favorite insights, moments. I mean, today was a full 360-degree conversation. We went from gut health to detoxing to cleansing to plant medicine. I mean, it's beautiful when this happens. And I hope that you're introduced to new modalities. I hope that you allow yourself to be open to new approaches. Again, we're not recommending that there's one right approach or a wrong approach, or however. The point is to give you a menu of options and ideas and opportunities, because the biggest loss in life is feeling like you only have one way to do something. And when that way doesn't work, or you've tried it a lot and it still doesn't benefit you, that's when we mostly give up. And I think recognizing that there's a whole variety of options, ideas, insights, expertise out there actually fills you with more confidence that you'll find your way. So,
exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. What an honor.
Such a joy. Thank you. If you love this episode, you'll enjoy my interview with Dr. Daniel Amen on how to change your life by changing your brain.
If we want a healthy mind, it actually starts with a healthy brain. I've had the blessing or the curse to scan over 1,000 convicted felons and over 100 murderers, and their brains are very damaged.